Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Hobo Thinga podcast. My name is Crystal Cedino, and I am the Training and Development Manager for the Native Learning Center. Really thrilled that all of you are tuning in for another episode this week, so thank you, thank you. With me today is my right hand, Cora Anthony. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Cora.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Cora Anthony, the Training and Development Specialist here at the Native Learning Center.
Thanks. All right, and today on the show, we are excited to have Keith Gregory, who's the Director of Housing for Pascua Yaqui Tribe. Go ahead and wave and say hello, Keith.
Good morning. Good morning. As you said, I'm Keith Gregory with the Pascua Yaqui Tribe. I am just super excited to be here. I think this is an awesome platform that you all have, so I'm excited to be a part of it.
Thank you. All right, so today what we're going to be discussing are some of the housing projects that have gone underway for the Pascua Yaqui tribe. Keith, why don't you just tell us a bit more about your journey becoming the director and, anything else you want to toss in there?
You want the long version or short version of that story? I've been fortunate. My career started almost 16 years ago now, in Pittsburgh, on public housing. So I worked in public housing first, in cities like Pittsburgh. I worked in Chicago twice, worked in Atlanta, Florida, and for the city of Tucson. But I got my first kind of exposure to tribal housing in Juneau, Alaska. So I was the chief executive officer of the Clinton Haida Regional Housing Authority in Juneau, which serves Southeast Alaska and a lot of the different tribal organizations there, a lot of smaller islands, which is very difficult, I found, to get things done there. So not done because of done because of location. And then after that, I found my way to my current position as the director of housing for the Pascua Yaqui tribe.
Amazing. So thank you for that. All right, now let's jump into the project and so on and so forth. So can you share with us a bit of background on your construction of 50 new single family homes and how, the process was in securing funding and, the impact that these homes have had?
Yeah. So I started with the tribe here in 2019. From the math there, sorry, in 2019. And we were fortunate. I dove into a situation where the tribe had already done some development in the past, so there was a little bit of experience. So that helps. I know a lot of tribes, when they start talking about tax credit projects, there's a learning curve and a comfort level that you have to get to before you can dive into that first project. Or even if you've done one, going into your second or third project, it's still it's a complex process. So it does take a lot of time to get used to what you're doing. The Pascua Yaqui tribe, fortunately for me, had already done 6 projects by the time I got there. So I really didn't have that learning curve. I didn't have that education that I had to do. I jumped right into a situation where this was a tribe that was already doing this kind of work. I think the thing that we did differently when I got there was we went bigger. We decided, instead of doing 20 units or 10 units, we were going to do 50, which was impactful for us. We have 1,000 at that time. We had 1,000 people on our waiting list, and we have a need to serve those families. And don't get me wrong, every unit helps, whether it's 3 units or 5 or 10 or whatever. But you want to make impactful decreases in that waiting list. So those are families that are oftentimes couch surfing. They're in overcrowded situations. So for us to be able to make larger impacts, I think it's critical for us to be able to serve those families. So anyway, we dove right in, got going with our 50 unit project. We partnered with an organization called Travoy, and worked out how we were going to get the project done. The design was important to us, as we were trying to create a whole new subdivision. So ultimately, it's a 40-acre subdivision, and the first project was really all about making sure that we could take advantage of every dollar that was available. This was create a cool project, but at the same time, let's maximize the resources that we were able to take advantage of. And that kind of led to the 50 unit project, and it was a lot of fun, very exciting. Especially once it's always fun to design that kind of thing. It gets a little, you start getting really excited when you get the award, but then you get nervous. It's like, oh wait, I actually have to do the work now. But it's been just a wonderful project. It's under construction now, and we're already planning on. We have an application in for another phase projects here. We're actually on the third phase of that project. So yeah, it was that whole process of getting from we need housing to, we actually have been awarded funding for housing has been awesome.
No, that's great. So you use tax credit and federal grant dollars, or?
You did ask me that. I'm sorry, I probably should
No,
have.
it's okay.
So yeah, so our primary source of funding is a 9% federal tax credit, low-income housing tax credit. In Arizona, we have every state's a little different as how those tax credits are awarded. Arizona has a tribal housing set aside, so we were in that space. So we received roughly 18 million in tax credits, which at the time, at least to date, nobody's proven us wrong on this one yet, but so far that's the largest tax credit award and tax credit project ever done on tribal land. So we're, obviously really excited about that. And then we combine a lot of other sources. The tribe itself put in upfront about $3 to $5 million. Then we went after the grant fund, so we were able to get an AHP grant. We were able to pull in a lot of different funding sources. Ultimately, when we really worked through all the grants that we received, all the funding sources that we were able to pull together, the project we actually ended up making, it's kind of small when you think about it on the scale of the project, but the fact that it didn't cost us any money overall is kind of awesome. So, we're actually going to make about $600,000 doing the project, and that doesn't include our $1.5 million developer fee, and obviously the rents that'll come later. So this project really didn't cost us anything, which is just amazing to be able to say.
100%, because we know that these projects can have, like, especially like 50 units or 50, you know what I mean, new single family homes. That's going to cost something. Like, you know what I mean,
Exactly.
obviously.
Right?
So it's really cool that you had that 18 million in tax credits, and that's quite a bit. And then you were able to compile that with grants, and then the tribe, put up money as well. So no, that's incredible. Just I feel like, it goes to show with resiliency and tribes, and you can make things happen if, there's a will, there's a way.
It really, you're right. It really comes back to that. It's like, we knew we wanted to do something. And really after that, all it really was figuring out, okay, how do we get this done in a way that is going to be successful long term, but also is going to be feasible for the tribe, right? I can't expect the tribe to throw $20 million at a project every time I want to build 50 houses. So what sources of funding can we pull together? What resources can we grab to make this happen? But at the end of the day, it was because our council, our community wanted this to happen. And it really just makes it a lot easier when you're in that situation, because then all I really have to do is figure out how to make it real.
No, definitely. I think getting that community approval and involvement makes the whole process just so much easier. So we were reading about you also have a project on townhomes, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Is that kind of underway? Are you experiencing the same ease as with the 50 single family home?
Yes and no. So yes, in the fact that again, we're building out a whole subdivision, and so it's a three-phase subdivision. It's a single family homes, townhomes, and then an apartment complex with a commercial piece, which I'll touch on, I guess, a little bit later. But so yes, there was the same ease as far as the community support. There was the same ease as far as council, support and directive. I think what became more difficult and what was been interesting about these projects is that we're doing them during the pandemic and during the height of the pandemic, right? So when we started out with Project 7 with the 50 single family homes, I mean, there really wasn't a lot of competition in the tax credit space, but also prices were, we thought at the time, fairly stable. We found out, just like everybody else did, that they're not. Lumber prices, steel prices, everything went through the roof. Labor price. Then it's hard to keep labor on a project. The townhome project ran into the same thing. Except we knew that going into it, right? So we got really, what I would consider really, really good, low bids when we were doing construction on the single family homes. The tax credits did not have the same good fortune. There was a lot more cost built in, just because at that point in time things had changed. The lumber prices were up. There are all these different things that had gone on. So it was definitely as easy as far as the community support and as far as the desire to do the project. Yes. When it came to the realities of what that would cost, it was a little bit jarring, but I mean, that was a reality of the market at that time. So, we just kind of had to figure that out. And there were some things that we would have loved to have included that we weren't able to include, but, we figured it's better to build the buildings than to get every single thing you want.
Yep, that happens. Go ahead, Corey.
No, I was just gonna ask, and so about how many townhomes are you looking to build? So how big is this project?
So it's about half the size of the single family project. So it's 27 townhomes, and again, driven almost entirely by the fact that it costs more per unit to do them, like considerably more per unit. I always joke with people like in the townhomes, they should be like luxury. They should have marble floors. I mean, the price almost doubled per unit, and you're just like wow. But again, every single thing during that particular time frame was more expensive. I mean, it was difficult to get labor. It was difficult to get materials, so everybody was building that into their bids, and we have good relationships with our contractors, so we were able to kind of work some of those things down and do some value engineering, do some different things that work the price back. But ultimately, I mean, price is what it is, and so it did limit the size a little because we definitely would have done another 50 unit project. I'm big on I love big projects. I would do 200 units. Somebody let me, but we made it work because again we were committed to the overall subdivision being completed.
Yeah, that's great. So let's talk about the community a little bit, and as far as what you know on like how the community feels about these incredible housing, developments.
I think the most telling thing for me as far as how the community feels about the developments is the number of calls that we get from people just asking, how can we get into the new houses? And so that to me, when you get the first call, someone's like, "Hey, I heard you building new houses, and I saw some pictures. How do I get in?" I'm like, "Okay, we're doing okay. We did something right. I don't know if we did everything right, but we did something right." Um, the community response has been awesome. I mean, it's from pretty much every day somebody's asking us how to get into units. We've had, I've done, and my staff have done, not just me, even myself, my staff have been asked to give presentations on design, presentations on planning, presentations on project management. So it's been just this huge thing for us that people have started to one recognize that we're building something that I think is very, very exciting for our community, but two, that the staff that I have and I get to work with every day, that they are very talented, very qualified, and can speak to doing innovative, modern, new things. I mean, in the city of Tucson, or in southern Arizona, actually, we are the largest developer of affordable housing outside of the Phoenix metro. And I found that to be very interesting, given that there are some pretty major developers in our area, but when it comes to Southern Arizona, I mean, we over the past couple of years, we've been the largest developer in that area, and it goes back to that support that we get from the community. Not, I mean, even obviously the tribal community, but even outside of that, I mean, the city of Tucson is always reaching out. Hey, we saw you're doing this project. It's awesome. Would you like to partner with us? Would you be interested? So it's very exciting to get that support, get that feedback, and it be positive. Obviously, when you do something wrong, people are definitely going to tell you. They don't always tell you when you're doing something right. But this has been one of those really wonderful experiences where everybody seems to be excited about the stuff that we've got going on.
And I'll say this, I saw the handout of the houses for the Travoy
Oh yeah,
convention. Oh my God, those houses are beautiful, like just very modern, beautiful, beautiful homes. Which brings me to then my next question, because the other thing that caught my eye was the luxury apartment building that you guys are I think it says it's gonna have like spas and whatnot.
yeah.
The residence is at Avenida del Yaqui. So can you tell us a little bit more about that luxury experience?
Yeah, yeah. So that's my that's our showpiece. That's our flagship, kind of thing. We so our tribe is kind of unique in that we're not located just in one area. So we have our reservation is just outside of Tucson, Arizona. So we're a very urban tribe in that sense. So our reservation is really connected to the city. But we also have cultural communities all throughout Arizona. So there are multiple cultural communities in the Tucson region, and then there's some in like Coolidge, Arizona, but then we also have a cultural community in Guadalupe, Arizona, which is it's in the Phoenix metro. It's really next door to Tempe, Arizona, which Tempe is just, I mean, the entire Phoenix metro is just kind of just blowing up as far as prices are concerned and rents are concerned. So we're able to draw, I mean, the kinds of rents you can get in that area are just phenomenal. So we kind of leveraged that and thought to ourselves, well, Guadalupe as a community is kind of sandwiched in between some very affluent areas. And what you'll see, there's a main road that drives through, and it actually changes names as you go through the community. But that road, all the way up until literally the town line, the city limits, it has luxury apartments. I mean, $3,000, $4,000 a month in rent, all the way up until the town limit, and then there's not a single apartment after that. So our kind of thing is, well, we can build this. We can do the same thing all these other developers are doing. We can bring in a luxury, we can bring in those rents, and we can benefit the tribal members because the building's going to be actually a mixed income and mixed use project. So it's going to have you're going to have retail like a lot of new buildings do on the lower floor. You're going to have office space, but then you're going to have a mixture of affordable housing and market rate housing. So you'll have some families that are paying the market rate that might be paying $4,000 a month, and you have other families that are paying 700, as an attempt to make sure that tribal members have access to this building and all the resources in it. But also, there have been a lot of studies, and I don't know if we've done as many on the tribal housing side as we have on public housing, but there are tons of studies that show that those kinds of communities actually serve both populations better. Those who are lower income get access to more opportunities because they're going to naturally interact with people who make the kind of decisions at their organizations to hire or not hire, or buy services, those kind of things. And the people at the higher income get to interact with people. That kind of forces diversity, and it creates kind of these communities where people kind of naturally engage without so much concern for income. But also, we got to put a pool on the roof, and that was so fun. It's so awesome. So, it's just one of those things where we get to do the cool project, and we get to add in all these luxury features. But I think for us, on top of the fact that it's a critical housing need that we're meeting, we're also, kind of expanding our own reputation. So, we don't just do traditional tribal deals. We don't just do tax credit deals. We can throw up a luxury building just like anybody else, and we can do it just as well as anybody else. We have a great architectural team. We've got great support staff, and the project. Man, I love the weekly meetings. We get I'm like one of those weirdos. So I have this the most amazing deputy director in Rolando Jaimes, and he's like really awesome on the construction side, which drives me nuts. Like, it bores me to death. I will be honest about that. Like, going to construction sites, that stuff bores me to death. But I love the design side. So I'm always like, I love those meetings where we're talking about, okay, so we're gonna put, this foliage on the side of the building, we're gonna have this walkway, we're gonna have this different stuff. So we have like this perfect team where he and I are in the meetings, and he's asking questions about construction, and I'm just like, oh God, we're doing this again. But he specializes and he's really good at that. And I'm over here like, we should put a sky bridge. He's like, dude, no, we're not building a sky bridge. So it's this good balance between me wanting ridiculous things and him telling me what we can actually get built. But the project, we are very excited about just the whole scope of the project, and what it's going to mean to the community. I mean, just the taxes that will be provided to the community are going to be huge for the town, which will help support it. The housing aspect, the financial aspect for the tribe. I mean, we expect to make several $1 million doing the project. On top of our developer fee, it cash flows very well, we hope. So yeah, it's a super exciting project.
Sounds like it. Just looking at the designs for the homes here with the slanted roofs and so on. So I think that's so cool. You don't see that all the time, I don't know, at least in Florida. Everything's very like square, modern, boring. Sorry, Florida, but ugly.
I lived in Florida for a while, and you know what? I remember. Well, there are two things I remember. I remember one, that the lizards. So I'm from the Midwest. So I'm not used to like the lizards, and the lizard. It would rain. Now it rains like crazy for like an hour, and then it stops. And the lizards would like crawl up on the window, on the shades on the window to try and keep from, I guess, drowning in the monsoon rain or whatever it is. And so I remember that, and I also remember that all the houses had like screened in, like porch pool things, which I thought was super cool because like the one thing about a pool is like out here, if it rains, you can't get in your pool, but you had it screened in. I always thought that was super awesome. So I mean, that part's not that boring. It's very exciting. I would love to have a screened in pool.
Overrated. I was here my entire life. So I'm like, yeah. And when you mentioned the pool on the roof, I was like, oh, very Florida of you, because all of our condominiums, like in the downtown area, have that. Because where else are you gonna put it? There's no space on the, you know what I mean, like ground floor level. So yeah, no, that's incredible. You mentioned earlier, commercial building,
Mhm.
some work with that. Can you just give us a little like taste of what that's about?
So, so, so we have an on-res and off-res side of things that we're doing, right? So we have our on reservation, which is the 50 single family homes, the townhomes. Those are on reservation projects. The residences at Avenida del Yaqui is off-res in our cultural community in Guadalupe, Arizona. The third and final phase of our what we're calling Yaqui Square subdivision is a multi-story apartment complex with an associated commercial and retail building. So one of the challenges on our reservation is we don't so tribal members have to actually leave the reservation in order to go to the grocery store, buy serve, those kinds of things. We thought it would be kind of unique if we could bring some of that. Obviously, we're not going to beat Walmart, but if we could bring some of the retail services back to the reservation to help circulate the dollars inside the community. So what we ended up doing was we planned out a multi-unit apartment complex. So it's 50 units. It's got a nice outdoor area. It's a very cool building. It's going to have a farmer's market, and then it's going to be attached or like adjacent to it. We'll have a full commercial building, which we'll have offices in. But then the first floor will have a full retail set aside as well, with the goal being, we noticed two things. One, like I was saying a second ago, everybody has to leave the reservation in order to access services. If they want to go buy anything, loaf of bread, anything, they have to leave. That means those dollars leave, and it's not like Walmart spending a lot of time investing. It sounds like I'm talking bad about Walmart, but not their fault. That's just who's there. They're not investing in our community. It's just not their thing. So we wanted to bring those resources. If we could get a small, corner store where people could buy just basics in our community, one, it'll help build up that capacity within a potential a tribal entrepreneur. But then also, we have a ton of people that go around our reservation, come to our offices, selling things that they've made, selling food, selling jewelry, those kinds of things. The building's going to have kind of a farmer's market area in it where those individuals can just set up shop. They can come in at 9 in the morning, set up and hang out for however long they want and sell stuff, and they'll have a natural customer base. So the office staff are going to be there. We always buy lunches and different things. So your customers are all in one place. You don't have to go from house to house or building to building. Just come to one place. If you have a food truck, you can set up in front. If you sell jewelry, set up a shop. But that way, not only do you have the office clients, but you've got 127 families that live in that general area that could walk over there pretty much every day and buy basics for their home, buy stuff that's being sold by other community members. It becomes hopefully a community square kind of thing. So that project is, we have the application in. We will find out about our award here in a couple of weeks, which we are very excited about and hopeful that we get funded. And so exactly. Oh yeah, I tell people, like, you don't want to see my feet. I keep my toes crossed all day long, hoping that we get the award. But we're very, that project is kind of like the big culmination of our on reservation subdivision. We really, really, really want to get that done. Things are looking well. There's a self score process here. Our self score turned out very well, so we're hopeful that the state Department of Housing agrees and we get funding, and then we'll go forward and get that one under construction too.
That's beautiful. And I like the idea that the other families that are not part of the community that are going to be living in that luxury experience also get that connection to the culture of the tribal members and like the products that they'll be selling and things like that. So it really kind of bridges the gap and brings it all together very harmoniously. So that's awesome. Like
Well, thanks.
this is one of the projects that I'm like, would be really cool to like see it in person once
You're
it's
always welcome to
completed,
come
up and
out.
running. So
So we'll send you, when we have our ribbon cut, we'll make sure to invite you all out. You can come out and see the whole thing.
yes, please. Okay, well, I don't have any other questions. Crystal, do you have any other questions? No. Keith, any final commentary for our listeners?
No, I just want to say thank you to both of you for inviting me, giving us this opportunity. And we love the work that we do, and we love the fact that, if there are other tribes that can either learn from what we're doing or want to experience what we're doing, we're here. It's not just about us. We've learned, and I've learned even, that it's about the entire tribal community. So, anybody who wants to see what we're doing or wants to learn or visit or whatever, we're here to help. It's not just about us, but also, we're so excited that we can do these kinds of things. I mean, we get up I get up every morning and it's very rare that I've loved a job where I get up and I'm like, I get to go to work today and I get to go do awesome stuff. And I feel that way every morning. I get up and I know the work that we're doing. I know it matters to people. We're not just making money for people. We're making homes for families. We're helping people have a better quality and have a better standard of living. And that is just, it's inspiring. It's exciting. So we love to be able to do that. And these projects, I mean, we have great partners, from Raymond James, Redstone, Travoy, all these great partners that we have that help to make these things real too. So it's, as much as it is us, it's also, it's a team, it's a partnership with everyone. And so we're very appreciative that we have just great partners, HUD, ADOH, all these groups. So no, I just, I would thank you both for the invitation. This is, I mean, you all have just an amazing setup here. So you guys have been great to work with. So thank you so much for the opportunity. And, I'd love to come back if we ever, when we finish the projects, and we'll talk about it again.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode. Thank you again, Keith, for taking the time to join us today. We hope that you have enjoyed today's episode, and thank you for listening to the Hope Athena podcast. Remember, if you enjoy our show, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. And also visit our website, www.nativelearningcenter.com, to find more information on upcoming webinars and virtual trainings. Thank you.